My name is Mandy, and I'm a researcher at the Mu Collective, a research lab at Northwestern University working at the intersection of information visualization and uncertainty communication. This is our paper, Watching the Election Sausage Get Made, How Data Journalists Visualize the Vote Counting Process in US Elections. So this study is about election results in the US, and more precisely, how and why they are published live by data journalists. During major elections in the US, election results are updated in real time by news outlets as vote counting persists over days or even weeks. It is a massive public-facing exercise in managing audience uncertainty in partial data. And it's interesting because it is not universally agreed, even among data journalists, that election results should be communicated in real time in the way that they are. We could just wait to know the final winners of elections. But regardless, the results are updated live every election, and they continue to generate record-breaking audience traffic. So we thought if we're going to publish results live, we should take a closer look at how it's being done and designed for. It makes for a very interesting design problem. We were curious about the design space of online real-time election results. How do these displays encode the progress of vote counting? Having to communicate uncertainty to a lot of people in this window of vote counting until winners are projected or races are called, again, makes for a very interesting design challenge. We also wanted to investigate how data journalists planned for live election results, their design practices, goals, and challenges, the behind-the-scenes decision-making of all of this. And we also wanted to hear from them on this question, again, of why do we publish election results live? So with all these curiosities, we embarked on our study, and we note that we only focus on digital dashboards of live election results in the study, but there is overlap between the visualizations you see on digital displays and TV displays of election results. A quick note about how elections are reported in the US. There is no centralized elections authority. It's all very decentralized. Votes are counted and reported locally after voting sites close. Information about these vote counts is then aggregated by third-party organizations like the Associated Press, Decision Desk HQ, there are others. These organizations also call or project winners for races, or a news network might have their own in-house decision desk to do that. They also produce the metric estimated expected vote, which is the estimated total number of ballots that will be cast in the election when all is said and done. Vote counts and race calls or winner projections on election night and the days following are unofficial. That is important to keep in mind. To illustrate the flow of evolving information as votes are counted, we created this diagram that we iterated on with our interviewees. This is for one example election, and you can think of these flows into the central pipeline as batches of information that update our understanding of the election outcome. Before polls close, we have some idea of how elections will go. We have data like historical voting data, which tells us what candidates and parties have historically won this election. We have political polling. We have demographic data that can tell us interesting demographic shifts that would impact voting trends. After polls close, votes start coming in. And at a certain point, we know enough to project the winner because we are quite certain that in the outstanding votes, there will not be enough votes for the trailing candidates to catch up to the leading candidate. And in our study, we're focusing on that area up top that says news outlets visualize this data through online dashboards. Jumping into part one of our study, creating a visual vocabulary. This is where we are investigating that whole design space of the designs of online election results dashboards. And we analyzed election results dashboards from 2020 and 2022 because they are the most recent elections. They had high turnout. We could look at how different seats up for re-election were displayed. We had to capture both the final designs and the designs as votes were counted. So we relied on Wayback Machine to get screenshots of the dashboards as votes were counted. We then boiled down these designs into building blocks to create that vocabulary. we ask these two questions: what data comprise election results, and how is this data encoded? Is it encoded through text? What marks and visual channels is it encoded through? This is our final visual vocabulary. There is a lot to look at, and it's worth checking out more closely in the paper. Each section is marked by a number, and it's for one type of data found in real-time election results. And then within each section, you'll see the ways that that data was encoded. After creating this vocabulary of digital designs of live results, we then interviewed the data journalists and designers who built, design, or managed the designs. This, again, was to get richer explanations for the design decisions and to get some perspectives about why election results are communicated live. Our interviews revolved around these four questions. Why are election results published in real time? What are the resources and organizational structures for designing live results? And what broad communication goals and challenges are faced when designing live results? We ended up speaking with 13 individuals from the following organizations. You'll notice that two of them, the Associated Press and Decision Desk HQ, are results providers. And the rest of the organizations range from local news organizations to national news organizations. So we really got a good range. The first big question we asked interviewees: why are election results published in real time? We show some reasons here, but there are more in the paper. And we bucket the reasons into a couple of the buckets you see here. The first bucket is the transparency bucket. So election results are published live because it upholds the public's right to see into election processes, and it also satisfies viewers' desires for information. The second bucket on the bottom is the accountability bucket. So publishing results live is an opportunity to set the record straight when there's misinformation about what results mean. It also holds election officials accountable while they're processing and reporting ballots. The third bucket on the top right is the internal benefits bucket. So doing live results is a chance for the whole newsroom to gather around one project. It's a chance for teams to work together. And because live results generate so much audience engagement and revenue, it's just really good exposure for that news outlet. The second question we asked was about the resources and organizational structures around live results. Building, designing, and maintaining live election results rigs are no small feat. They are massive cross-team projects involving data teams and politics teams. And the overall team size can vary across newsrooms. So the number of people who contribute to live election results could be one person for a newsroom, or it could be a team of more than 20 people that works on election results 100% of the year. This project can burn people out, and as one of our interviewees mentioned, it can be the project that got someone to walk out of the building. Now we turn to the broad communication goals that our interviewees discussed, and we list the goals here. They are described in more detail in the paper. So the first goal is just providing the information at all, and this gets at the responsibility felt by data journalists to make this information public and available. Another goal is contributing interpretation and meaning around election results. So what do results say about the electorate and what the electorate wants? What do election outcomes mean for people's everyday lives going forward? A third goal is balancing certainty and uncertainty in the journey towards finding out winners. This is related to showing partial data responsibly. And more specifically, it means avoiding stating or implying something too early about election outcomes, but also emphasizing meaningful changes in election results. The last goal is showing vote counting as an incremental process. So making sure audiences know that this process is still going on, votes are still being processed and counted. Next, we talk about challenges that are faced when designing live results. So showing live data is not without its challenges. One challenge is picking a threshold to start showing information. Early on, when votes just start trickling in, it probably doesn't make sense to show which candidates are in the lead. but viewers come to your page expecting some information, so you don't want to wait too long, but you also don't want to show early leads that give viewers the wrong impression. Many news outlets will choose some percentage of estimated expected vote at which to start showing leads. Another challenge is avoiding a dopamine lever effect in designs. So designing something that encourages readers to continuously refresh the page, that dramatizes every change in election results, is something that interviewees wanted to avoid. But it's tough because you are also still trying to communicate that this data is live and that the vote counting process is ongoing and that vote counts are changing. A third challenge is showing winner projections when no votes have been reported. So when a candidate or party has this long history of winning some race by a wide margin, and if exit polling and early voting data show that this candidate will still win, the race could be called or a winner projected as soon as polls close. This can be challenging to explain to people. Another challenge is contextualizing results to not feel removed from people's lives. And this is tough when you have such a wide audience that is watching different races, watching them for different reasons. Putting the two parts of our study together, we map interviewees' design goals and challenges to their design choices, and the design choices are illustrated using components of our visual vocabulary. You can examine this more closely in our paper. We close with some open design questions worth investigating further. How can dashboards better emphasize uncertainty in partial progressive data? Real-time election results often come with a disclaimer that reminds viewers of its incompleteness and cautions against drawing any hasty conclusions. We wonder if this is enough, and we wonder if there are designs that would better visually integrate uncertainty in partial data. Related to the first question, what strategies are successful in correcting for illusion bias? Illusion bias is when viewers anchor their beliefs to misleading patterns introduced early in the data progression. What designs for election results could take this into account and possibly correct for illusion bias? How can displays of real-time election results better inform readers of the vote counting, reporting, review, and certification processes? Viewing election results in real time is the public's chance to see electoral processes unfold, and we wonder if there are designs that would more clearly visually integrate this meticulous process of counting and reporting and reviewing ballots. Of course, this would be challenging if audiences are coming to live election results purely to see who might win the elections. Lastly, what elements of real-time election results cause anxiety and why? Interviewers emphasized across the board that they did not want to cause more anxiety with their designs than necessary. We questioned what is the appropriate amount of anxiety that readers should have when viewing live election results, given that anxiety can go hand in hand with seeking information, which is not necessarily a bad thing. In conclusion, we contribute a visual vocabulary to understand the landscape of current digital designs of live election results, as well as findings from interviews with data journalists and designers regarding why election results are published live, the resources necessary to produce live election results, and their goals and challenges behind these designs. Our next steps include understanding why and how readers engage with displays of live election results, and we look forward to sharing that research in the future. Special thanks to everyone at the Mu Collective, Fumeng Yang, Joe Gramuska, Open News, and Tyler Fisher for their help with this study. Thank you.